Welcome back to the American College of Surgeons Bulletin Brief from the Frontline Surgeons' Voices. Today we have a voice we've heard before, a very valuable, wise, insightful voice, the voice and face of my friend Professor Julio Mayol. Julio is the medical director and professor of surgery at the Hospital Clínica San Carlos and the University Complutense in Madrid. Welcome back, Dr. Mayol.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join you. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure for us too. You are certainly, if not the most globally renowned social media surgeon, certainly one of them. And you've, during the last several years, helped all of us grow our ability to communicate despite time zones and geographic distances through social media platforms, in particular Twitter. So I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the challenges of the virtual clinical congress we recently held for the American College of Surgeons, as well as some of the solutions afforded by social media. So maybe as a background, could you tell us a little bit about social media evolution at the annual clinical congress prior to this year, so for 2017, 18, 19?
Thank you. First of all, congratulations, Steve, on your election as Vice President of the Regents, the Board of Regents, the American College of Surgeons. Thank
you.
It is really fantastic for all of us, all of us who feel you are our mentor. I think that what we have seen over the last 4 or 5 years is that the engagement of surgeons from all over the world, not just the United States, through the use of social media has been huge, and it has been increasing year by year. And 2019 was a fantastic year. However, it was mostly confined to the United States and some other countries in North and South America. But now, with this new virtual clinical congress, plus the use of social media, we have seen that the limitations, the barriers imposed by time, distance, and the number of sessions we can attend have disappeared. And this is fantastic. There has been a lot of debates and discussions, not only through questions and answers during the sessions, but also on social media. And that, I think that's a major difference, because knowledge must be widely accessible in order to, or information must be widely accessible in order to transform it into knowledge, into practical knowledge. And that has absolutely changed with this 2020 virtual American College Clinical Congress. I think this is really a turning point for clinical congress in surgery and for many other disciplines, of course.
Thanks a lot. You certainly were disseminating a lot of information on a daily basis, telling us about who was active and what was the level of activity. For people who have not been actively engaged in Twitter, particularly during the annual clinical congress, could you please share with us some of the details, how it changed in terms of, if you have it off the top of your head, in terms of numbers of people who hadn't previously participated, geographic regions, just to give us an idea of the impact?
If you remember, many of the tweets in the past were about people taking selfies and posting selfies. And there were some questions. Some of those who are not so in favor of social media were questioning whether that kind of interaction was meaningful for surgeons attending the Congress, whether this was just gossip or just showing our social relationships. However, this time there were more tweets with scientific content. it was possible to announce what kind of presentations were occurring at that time. I remember many excellent presentations about the use of artificial intelligence for surgeons, and that never happened before. Before, we were relying on, if we were not present, physically present during the Congress, we were relying on what others tweeted, and it was very limited. Now people can debate, can exchange ideas and thoughts about what they are watching online, and at the same time debating with others hundreds of and thousands of kilometers away about meaningful ideas and thoughts and knowledge shared online. So this is completely different. We have moved from a very social interaction on Twitter to a more scientific or surgically related content. And I think that's a meaningful change. I need to further analyze that, but it is clear that the trend is there.
Thank you. And speaking of trends, for those of us who are active on Twitter, we look at things like the number of impressions. So to describe to people who are not necessarily tweeters, could you please describe to us the reach, the number of people who have access to these discussions, to this dialogue that you've mentioned?
First of all, there were several thousands of people who tweeted, not that just watched the presentations, which is easy to analyze by the platform, the online digital platform. But in addition to that, there were 1,000 people tweeting, participants. And the number of impressions is the number of times the tweets have been seen, have appeared on people's screens. So it means that millions of times, that those tweets were seen millions of times by those who were participating, actively participating in the surgical meeting, but also others who were not online to see what was going on. So basically, we are reaching beyond the conventional and traditional audience of surgical congress, of the clinical congress of the American College of Surgeons. So basically, we are extending knowledge beyond the traditional limits of our profession.
Could you put that in the context of some type of number? Like, is it possible that 1 million people have access to this information, 10 million, just so people understand the order of magnitude if they're not engaged in the conversation?
Combining two different hashtags that were used during the Congress, probably it went up to 90 million times these tweets were seen, which can reach probably something in the range of 10 million people seeing tweets related to the American College of Surgeons Clinical Congress 2020, which is incredible. This is something beyond what we have seen in the past for any medical congress.
No, that's fantastic. And again, in large part due to your efforts in keeping us all informed and getting the conversations going. So you mentioned earlier, watching the sessions, commenting on the sessions. Well, although the annual clinical congress ended, I believe it was October 8th, we're here now still able to access the material through the end of the year. Are you envisioning people will continue to converse about and raise questions about it, answers to those questions about the sessions over the next few months?
That's a very good idea, in fact, because now we can go back and organize social media chats to discuss specific topics that people can access through the Clinical Congress platform. So probably we can now go back and discuss more deeply what was already presented. And these things are going to happen in an unorganized way. But what if the American College of Surgeons organizes new meetings to just take advantage of what has already been shared online. That would be an incredible idea and something that could push knowledge forward.
Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about, that we certainly could organize people to watch the session about rectal cancer, whatever the topic happens to be, on a certain day, and have a live tweet chat about the session, because people can still access it and the registration is free. So it's another way to use the technology as we move forward with these virtual platforms with enduring material.
It could be organized or unorganized, but it would be better if we can structure something around a topic. For example, I was referring to this before, the use of AI for surgeons to predict complications, post-operative complications. Can we go deeper? Can we bring different backgrounds and different experiences, not only surgeons, but engineers, data scientists? How can we benefit from something that is already out there?
Good. No, I think it's very exciting. The possibilities are seemingly endless. Now, one other thing to discuss is language. So the default language of the American College of Surgeons obviously is English, and in fact it seems around the world the default medical language is English, but I'm saying that as somebody born in the USA. I don't have the gift you have of being bilingual. Could you tell us a little bit about what was happening in Spanish or in other languages during the annual clinical congress?
Well, it was very interesting. Paula Ferreira and Luis Felipe Cabrera from Colombia were tweeting also in Spanish. And that increased the engagement from Latin American surgeons and also Spanish surgeons. Although most of us can understand English, some of us are rather shy when we have to speak, because we don't want to make mistakes and we don't want to be judged, and we think that we are going to be judged. But having others who can be bilingual and share knowledge with us, translating knowledge, and helping us to get more engaged is something very meaningful. In the future, probably there will be this artificial intelligence programs that can translate live while presenters are presenting their work. That will be a development for the future. But right now, bringing people in who speak different languages, not only Spanish, but French, German, who can engage other communities would be great. The matter of fact is that Spanish and English first, of course, are the two languages more frequently used on Twitter. So by combining two languages, like English and Spanish, the American College of Surgeons reached a huge community, surgical community all over the world.
Indeed, very exciting times. And like many things with COVID, sort of serendipitously, there's some silver lining in the otherwise black cloud. And I think it's connected more of us. And in fact, I think we stay connected more on a daily basis, even though we don't see each other in physical three-dimensional presence now.
Yeah, practically, I am connected with you more than I would be if I resided in the United States. Basically. And it is interesting also that on social media, particularly on Twitter, you can translate tweets. So it's very easy to understand what others are discussing, or whatever the conversation is, because there is this immediate translation tool that can be used to translate tweets. That's an additional benefit of the use of social media, something that wasn't possible in the past.
Indeed. Well, I thank you very much, as always, for your tremendous insights and your leadership. I look forward to tweeting with you, and maybe we'll go ahead and organize a couple of events. Some may happen organically, but perhaps we could even organize a couple for the archived content. I look forward to seeing you in person one of these days. Hopefully not too soon.
We need to. That's the only thing that is missing right now. The Clinical Congress was about traveling to Chicago or any other place, to Orlando or whatever, and meet people face to face and have these meaningful interactions. But sometimes we were limited by numbers. We could only have dinner with 1 or 2 people or 3 people, but now we can connect with many more online. So we need to find the advantages of this new model. But in order to do that, we need to find new ways to really make this more fruitful for all of us, to benefit personally from these interactions, and also to learn more. So we need new business models. We cannot be just stuck in the past. We need new mind maps. We need new technologies. And we shouldn't be just restrained by the conventional business models and mind maps we used before COVID-19.
Very astute, as always. Well, thanks, Julio, and best to you and your family until we see each other again in person.
Stay safe. Have a good day.